I'm very pleased that we've been able to work something out on trafficking, on the substance of the bill, the amendment that we will offer that will make it so that we can move forward on this. The agreement isn't perfect, but ensures the Hade language will not be used in any non-government funding. Private funding will not be part of Hade, and that's what we've been fighting for these weeks. Although we have an agreement on the legislation, we're not out of the woods yet, and that's an understatement. Final vote on the agreement should still be stalled by the Republicans because they can't get over offering a bunch of amendments, most of which, as I've seen them, are not germane. Now, we're not going to be filibustering into their amendments, but we're not going to be rushed into not having a good debate on these amendments, some of which are very egregious. The list I saw this morning included numerous, and I mean numerous, amendments dealing with immigration. As we've said before, anytime they want to have a debate on immigration, we're ready to do that. But it shouldn't be on this bill. We would vote on Lynch immediately, but they are not going to allow that to happen. The longer it takes to get through this bill, and we're going to work it until it's done, the longer Loretta Lynch is stalled. With that, her nomination came almost 6 months ago, and that's unfortunate we've had to wait this long. It's been 164 days since her name was given to us. So let's get a vote on the compromise and move forward to Lynch. Senator Durbin.
Thanks, Senator Reid, and I want to salute Senator Murray, Senator Amy Klobuchar, and Senator Patrick Leahy for effective negotiation. We're this close to closing the deal on human trafficking after 4 weeks, has it been? 4 weeks of effort, and I thank them for their leadership in bringing us to this moment. But I also have to say that it's great regret to report that Loretta Lynch has been waiting on this executive calendar now for 54 days. The last 7 nominees for Attorney General combined, set on the calendar, combined 24 days. She's been there 54 days. Initially, Senator McConnell said that we were going to hold her because of the president's immigration orders. And then he changed and said, no, we're going to hold her until the human trafficking bill passes. Well, I can just tell you that those excuses don't hold up. We have passed so many nominations through the Senate floor, even while these negotiations have continued. There's no excuse. She's an extraordinarily well-qualified person. When she testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee, a mixed panel of Democratic and Republican witnesses were asked, which of you would oppose the nomination of Loretta Lynch? Not a single hand was raised. There's no opposition to her, only from the Republican Senate caucus. It's time to move Loretta Lynch. We need to do it before we go home this week. We owe it to this country, we owe it to Loretta Lynch, and we owe it to the Senate to get back on track in approving qualified nominees.
Senator Schumer.
Well, thank you. And today, Republicans have finally backed off their crusade to expand the Hade Amendment. They were pushed by their pro-life friends. They finally backed off. Our caucus stood firm. And I think Senator McConnell is learning a lesson. When he tries to divide us, he fails. It's happened now on 3 different issues, and we hope, instead of him spending his time trying to divide us, that he works with us. It's took far too long, but we're grateful that Senator Cornyn and others have agreed to drop their push to expand the Hade Amendment on this bill so we can finally move closer to a vote on Loretta Lynch. Neither the trafficking bill nor Loretta Lynch needed to have taken this long. For weeks, Democrats offered compromise after compromise on trafficking. For weeks, the Republicans failed to move and tried to keep Loretta Lynch as a bargaining chip. Well, it's clear that plan fell flat on its face. Senator McConnell tied the trafficking bill and Loretta Lynch together. And when Republicans could no longer stand the heat that they took for failing to move forward till it got too hot, they finally decided to get out of the kitchen. Loretta Lynch's nomination has been stuck in a tunnel. Finally, we're beginning to see the light at the end of it. But we're not just there yet. You never know with this Republican caucus. You never know what's happened. It's time for Republicans to do what they should have done months ago. Drop the delays, drop the excuses, vote to confirm Loretta Lynch this week. It's 164 days since the president announced her nomination. Loretta Lynch has answered hundreds of questions from Republicans, aced her committee hearings, proven beyond any reasonable doubt she's ready to hit the ground running as AG. The writing is on the wall. Handwriting is on the wall. She has the votes. The few hard-right Republicans who would use every ounce of their strength to delay her for a few hours or a few days more should finally relent. The Justice Department, the President, and the American people need Loretta Lynch at the helm. For 164 days, Republicans have sat on their hands instead of moving forward a qualified nominee. So to my Republican colleagues, I ask you to put this embarrassing episode for your party behind you without wasting any more of the American people's time. It's an absolute shame this Republican majority couldn't move forward with Loretta Lynch until now. But now that we're nearly in a position to do so, Republicans shouldn't waste another hour getting this done.
Senator Murray?
From the beginning of this debate, Democrats felt strongly that we needed to get the anti-trafficking bill back on a bipartisan track. We also believed that a bill to help trafficking survivors should focus squarely on those survivors, and this was no place for an attempt to expand restrictions on women's health options. So I'm really pleased that with the helps of Senators Feinstein, Leahy, Mikulski, and Klobuchar, we were able to get an agreement that meets the standard and gets trafficking survivors the support that they need. Now, no compromise is perfect. I know that Democrats will continue pushing back on any restriction on a woman's right to make her own choices about her own health care. But I am very glad that we were able to work together in a bipartisan way to get an agreement that does not give one more inch to those who want to restrict women's health and provides more dedicated funds and support for survivors who have suffered horrific hardships. And now that we have this done, there are no more excuses. We should vote to confirm Loretta Lynch as quickly as possible. Loretta Lynch is a highly qualified nominee. She has strong bipartisan support. There is no reason for any more delays before she is given a vote and allowed to go to work. She has wide support across the country, Democrats and Republicans, law enforcement leaders, and civil rights leaders. Republicans have now held their nomination up longer than any nominee for this position in 30 years. The time has come for Republican leaders to stop delaying, stop dragging their feet, and stop finding excuses for more delays. Give Loretta Lynch an up or down vote.
Questions? Yes.
The Republican leaders, when they came out, there was a lot of sort of victory lap about all the bipartisan deal making the past couple of weeks. You have the bipartisan Iran deal, you have the bipartisan education bill, and they're basically attributing that to the new Republican Senate, new openness, allowing amendments on the floor. Basically, that things have changed since you no longer are majority leader. Do you have any thoughts on whether they should get any credit?
We've been able to get some things done, and I think that's very important to the American people. But everything that we've been able to get done has been things that we tried to get done when we were in the majority, and they stopped it through their filibusters. Remember, some 300 different times we had to stop their filibustering. Now, what you should mention to them is the stuff that we've helped them get done. We're not, as an example of that, is what we've done and everything that they brought up. We're not opposing things just to be opposing them as they did. We are working with them to try to get things done for the American people. But I wish they would bring up some things that would be good for the American middle class. You know, something about equal pay for men and women. How about, we have communities, small communities. We have states that are working on minimum wage because they refuse to do so. We have a country that is buried in debt. It's not credit card debt, it's trying to put our kids through school. and they have been unwilling to allow us to do anything on that. There are so many, Barbara Boxer, who's trying valiantly to do something with infrastructure, our highway bill, our surface transportation bill. If we could get something done there, it would really help the economy significantly. But again, they're refusing to do anything on that. So just ask a question, I repeat, what are they doing to bring before the Senate things that help the American middle class? And that is, to this point, nothing.
Senator Reid, John Podesta came to your lunch today. Why was he there? What was his message to you?
John and Amanda came to our caucus to introduce us in a very broad, quick fashion to Secretary Clinton's campaign for President of the United States. We know Amanda, we know John. Amanda was Debbie Stabenow's Chief of Staff. John Podesta has been everybody's Chief of Staff. It has worked out. They were very, very informative to us. I appreciate their coming there. And we look forward to a number of other opportunities to be able to show the profile we have for the next President of the United States. Yes.
Sir, do you support the TPA?
You couldn't find a person to ask this question who feels more negatively about it than I do. I have never, ever in my 33 years in Congress ever supported a trade agreement, and I'm not going to start now. They're not good for the American people. They're not good for working men and women. It puts us at a disadvantage. So the answer is not only no, but hell no. Okay?
How do you really feel?
Pardon me? Listen, I have a great bunch of Democrats on the Finance Committee. They're a little too heavy into trade than I am, but we'll bring that to the floor and see what happens. I'm not going to be, Ron Wyden knows how I feel. Everyone in my caucus knows how I feel. And the president knows how I feel. That's why we didn't bring it up last Congress. But my only thing that I'm going to tell Ron, as I have, slow this thing down a little bit. This is really marching forward. I think there should have been more time in the committee. But no, I'm not going to be doing any single-handed trying to defeat it. I've told everybody how I feel, and that's the way it is. One last question, and then I'm all through.
May I follow up on the trade?
I can't end these. I can't end these little stakeouts we have unless we hear from. Okay.
He's a very nice fella.
And this may actually be more directed towards Senator Schumer.
Oh,
Good,
he's not
okay.
such a nice fella.
In connection to the trade agreement,
Okay.
can you talk a little bit about what you're planning to do on China currency?
Yeah, well, as you know, I feel very strongly about China currency. China is the most rapacious of our trading partners. They deliberately lower their currency. They steal our intellectual property. And they don't let American companies that have great products in until they can figure out how to make them themselves. And so we have a strong bipartisan group who wants to do China currency. Now's the time to do it. We have a unique opportunity that TPA is coming forward. We're not going to give up our strategy right now, but I'm going to push as hard as I can to see that a China currency bill is finally signed into law.
Thanks, everybody.